We dove in late June in the east basin of the lake along the south shore, and our goal with this dive was to just get some underwater videography and better understand the ecology of the lake and the organisms that live in it. What you're seeing right now is our descent, and that descent might look a little chaotic. As you go down, you begin to lose view of the surface and also the bottom, and so it can be a little bit disorienting. What you also might be noticing is there's a lot of particulates in the water, and this is because the algae had begun to bloom at this time of year, and that algae was primarily in the epilimnion, which is a technical term for the warm water above the thermocline or the temperature gradient in the lake. So as we dove below that thermocline, things clarified considerably, and this is where we did most of our videography. You can see there's much less particulate, and you can see a lot farther along the bottom of the lake. As we descended, one of the first things that struck us was how expansive these beds of chara, or muskgrass, are on the bottom of the lake. This is at present the most dominant vegetation type. Peppered along the lake bottom are fun parts of the lake's biology, like this exoskeleton of a crayfish, or this deceased bluegill, which was actually pretty big. No idea how it may have died, but you'll see my hand for size comparison. Here I found a snail shell, one of the many invertebrates that acts as fish food in the lake. Occasionally we came across these masses of filamentous algae. This is maybe the size of a basketball or a little bit bigger. It's not very dense, and as I put my hand into it, it almost feels a little bit like nylon netting. Here we have a good reminder that what goes into the lake might just stay in the lake. I'm not sure what this was. It looks like maybe part of a mooring buoy with a float, a rope attached to a cinder block of some sort, and it's been collecting algae and zebra mussels for a while. Here's one of the native species of plant in the lake. It's a species of pondweed. It may be flat stem pondweed. And here we have a soft plastic worm, one that doesn't decay and must have been lost by an unlucky angler. Members of Friends of Beaver Lake in the past have dropped fish cribs into parts of the lake, which are really wooden structures that are intended to provide habitat and hiding spots for fish. And one of our goals was to assess how well these cribs are being used. You can see this crib is pretty crusted over with zebra mussels, so it's been in there a while. And a decent-sized rock bass is taking refuge in the shadow of this fish crib. Their cribs are weighed down with cinder blocks to make sure they don't go anywhere. You'll have to forgive my rough videography at times. I was a little bit new to taking underwater video. Here we have one of the newer fish cribs, and you can tell it's fairly clean. It also seems to be much better inhabited, and we suspect that this may be due to the difference in temperature between the two locations. Here you see what I think is a rock bass slipping into the crib, and inside I see mostly rock bass and I believe a couple black crappie, at least one black crappie. Outside the fish crib, we see some smaller shoaling fish. It looks like some young members of the family Centrarchidae, which includes bass and bluegills and crappies, and also maybe some small blunt-nosed minnows. As we approached the final fish crib, we came upon this larger fish. It's tough to get a positive ID on it because he was a little bit shy, but I think it may have been a largemouth bass. And here we have the final fish crib we located. You can see that this one does look like it's one of the older ones as well, with lots of zebra mussels attached. And you can see as I ascend over this one, you begin to see more of the particulates. That suggests to me that this one might have been one of the shallower ones. That's it for the Friends of Beaver Lake Dive Survey of 2021. Thank you especially to Paul Robb for boating assistance on the dive, and to Cody Lincoln for his help in locating fish cribs with his sonar, and especially to you, the members of FOBL, for supporting this work.